Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So today I'm going to show you how to do a timing belt on a Peugeot or Citroen 1.4 petrol engine. Now, real simple job guys. This was on a 1007. There's loads of room, real simple job. But to be honest, they use this engine right the way across the range in both the Peugeot and the Citroen. So yeah, have a look, see if it's the same. But yeah, let's run you through it. And it's a real easy job. Right then guys, so as you can see now in this car, we have plenty of room now between the engine and the chassis, so it's not a bad timing belt to do. So obviously all this has to be stripped out. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jack and support the vehicle with an axle stand, and then remove the right hand front wheel. Once we've done that, then we got to remove this inner panel to get to the fan belt. So all we're going to do is take a screwdriver, and there's these little clips, and just pry the outer part away from the inner part, and then just give it a pull and it should come out. And then that will allow the inner piece then to be pulled out of the chassis. If you try to pull it out as one lump guys, it will break. So there's about 5 or 6 of these, and there's also a 10mm bolt. Now I'm going to put a spanner on the tensioner and turn it anti-clockwise and remove the fan belt. Nice easy one there guys. I use a double spanner, but you can use one if you can get your wrist in there and push it tight enough, but that's how I do it. So after we've done that, then we're going to need to remove the actual fan belt crank pulley. So there's 3 13mm bolts, and we're going to remove them. Once we've got that out the way, then that exposes the timing case, and we can start to strip it down. And there it goes. Right, so obviously to take the engine mount out to do the timing belt, we're going to have to support the engine. So I just use a trolley jack and a bit of wood under the sump. It is a steel sump, so you know it will take the weight of the engine. Now there's 3 bolts on the engine and 2 in the chassis, so we're going to remove them, and out comes the mount. Once we've done this, then our engine is nice and supported on our jack, and we're going to take the 2 bolts that hold the upper timing case and remove the timing case away from the engine. Now we got to get the bolts for the mount that actually bolted to the engine itself. There's 2 bolts up top and 1 bolt down here below. And once we've got them 3 bolts out, we can just take that out the way. Now I did have to lift the engine to do the top ones, and lower the engine to do the bottom, but you just do that on the jack guys. So, and that exposed our timing belt up the top. So now we're just going to remove the bottom cover, which is just a couple of 10mm headed bolts, and once that's away, then we can prepare to lock our time in. So obviously find a spanner that fits the crank. This was an 18mm spanner, and what I'm going to do now is there's a drill hole in the cam gear and a drill hole in the cylinder head. It's about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock ish. So I'm just going to turn the crank until them holes line up, and I just got a broken drill bit here guys that I've made a little bit bigger with a bit of insulation tape, and I'm just going to wind him until he goes in there nice and firm. This isn't an exact science, it's just to put it somewhere near in line. There you go. So once we've done that, now you should lock the crank by the flywheel, but I'll be honest with you, I don't bother. I'm a big believer in just marking everything and putting it back to the marks with some good old Tipp-Ex, and once we've done that, then everything should go back where it came from. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to mark the actual gear on the cam, to the cylinder head. So make sure you mark where that cam is in line with the cylinder head. I know it's locked, but it's better to have too much than not enough. So I'm just going to Tipp-Ex now from the cam gear to the cylinder head, and then I'm going to Tipp-Ex a line across the belt and to the tooth then on the gear, so that when I put it back on, I can see nice and clearly where it came from. Now from the top, I'm going to Tipp-Ex from the lower crank gear to the actual cylinder block itself. So if you look here now, I've actually marked one of the teeth up the tin shield there, up the block, so I can look down from the top and see where it is. Now from underneath I've actually got this nice little mark here that's already there for me, so I'm just going to Tipp-Ex that mark on the actual crank pulley housing itself, and I'm going to Tipp-Ex from that to the belt so that I know obviously where that came from. Once she's all marked there, guys, we're just going to undo the nut on our tensioner and release the tension from the belt. Nice and easy. It's a normal, obviously standard thread, so 13mm spanner, and undo that, and then you can just grab the tensioner and give it a swivel, and it will release the pressure away from the belt. So now I've done that, now I can remove my belt. I'm taking the nut off here, but you don't need to. You just get the belt off first, leave the tensioner in place, and then change it all after. So yeah, so now we can just play. They are a bit tight on the gears. I don't know why. They just grab the teeth really well. So just slide him over a little bit and then pop him off the tensioner. Once we've got him off the tensioner, then there comes our belt. So I just want to show you here, guys. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see my telltale hole in the bottom of my water pump, and you can see it is leaking coolant. So obviously I'm going to change a water pump. I change a water pump every time in belt. So as you can see here, I've just loosened the bolts off to let the coolant drain, and I'm going to swap the water pump out. Standard practice. Now the top bolt on the water pump is actually a bolt that holds the cover on, so just be aware that you put that back in the right place. So obviously there's my old water pump change, so I've changed that now, and that's the old one out the way. So and then you can see here's my tensioner. Now you'll see the new tensioner is locked. It just makes it a bit easier to get the belt. You can see my pointer is way over to the left, and on this one it's held behind this pin. If you pull that pin out, it'll shoot around. It doesn't matter, but it just makes it easier to get the belt on, so leave that in until your belt is on. Now I've transferred my Tipp-Ex marks from my old belt to my new belt. It's just the way I do it. You know, I strongly advise this way. Just make sure you triple check your marks. You do not want to get them a tooth out, otherwise you will cause yourself serious problems. So just Tipp-Ex them, obviously the same as the old belt, and then just double and triple check to make sure you put in the right place. So now I'm going to install a new tensioner. Now there's a foot that locks into the actual casing on the block, so you'll see here now I'm just swiveling it round until it locks in, and there she is now locked in. So it can't go anywhere, it can't go on anywhere else, it only goes on in one position. Now just to show you, I'm gonna swivel the actual center of the actual adjuster, so you can see here obviously as I turn it around, it obviously moves the wheel closer and further away from the belt, which is quite simple really. So you can see there my timing marks are all lined up. Now I got my belt on, and then what I'm going to do then is I'll just release that pin on my tensioner to obviously allow it. I'll pull that pin out now and just allow it to lock. So I'll show you that now. And then just to show you as well, I think I went underneath. I just wanted to show you guys that obviously I've matched all my marks up. So there's my belt to my bottom of my crank pulley, so that's marked, and also obviously my crank to my cylinder block is marked as well. So I know now 100% that it's right. So this is my old tensioner. I just wanted to show you, if you look on here, you will see an arrow which says anti-clockwise. Now this is not the tightening of the nut, this is which way you turn the tensioner with the Allen key to adjust it. So you see as I'm turning him anti-clockwise now, that pointer is going towards that little cutout on the metal plate, and once it's in the middle of that plate, just locking that off. Now I always go a little bit past, because I always find once you wind the engine over a few times, everything settles in and it kind of goes a bit slack. Once you've done it and then wound it over a couple of times, have a little look just to make sure it's where it should be, and that's it guys. So once you've got him all locked up and tight, and that's it. So obviously we'll put it back together now, how we took it apart, and yeah, I hope it helped.